So most people, whenever they start building a micro resort or they start looking at property, they get blown away by how the property looks and everything, and they don't ever think about, the cost before you build the cabin. Okay, so before you spend $200,000 on your first cabin, you may have to spend at least $10,000 on access, and that's what nobody tells you. So today I want to show you the hidden infrastructure cost that can hit your budget before you ever start building a micro cabin. See, most people, whenever they're looking at the raw land listings and stuff like that, guys, they're just looking at, the trees, the lakes, all the different things that the property has and how beautiful it is, and dreaming up all these cabins and stuff like that. And they think, look at everything that's out here. Oh, this would be a perfect place to put a cabin. And what they don't tell you, what the listing doesn't say, is there is no accessibility into this property. So if it would be perfect to build a cabin all the way in the back, the first thing you got to think about is, how am I going to get a dozer back there? How am I going to get a concrete truck back there? How am I going to build this cabin all the way back there? All right. So number one, guys, it's access, real access to the property. Okay. So like I said, if you're building your cabin all the way in the back, you have to have a driveway, not for your convenience, or not only for your convenience, but for everybody that's coming to your property, to your resort, to work. The work has to start before anybody can play. All right. Before any campers or anybody clients that come out to stay at your micro resort, you have to put in the work. Okay. To do the work, you got to get concrete trucks down there to pour your concrete. You got to get all of your supplies, all of your, your lumber, anything that you're going to use to build the cabins. You have to get that down there, and they can't get that down there if there's not a road established. Okay, heavy equipment, a heavy equipment that, yeah, they can track through a lot, but if you can't get anything to the back, then you can't build. It's just that simple. And if you're choosing to build, on a lake or something where it's, pretty far off your main road, there's going to be a lot more cost in that road than what you're even thinking about. A lot of people think, well, putting a road in, it's pretty easy. It's not that bad, but what they're not thinking about is you may have to cut brush, you may have to cut down some pretty big trees, and in doing that, there's stumps. Okay. If you have stumps, people can't just drive over stumps. Okay. If you put down, all your gravel, you put down 4-inch, 2-inch, and then an inch, to make an established road, you can't just put that over a stump. It just doesn't work like that. So you have to have stumps removed. Normally people that remove stumps, they charge by the stump. So if you're putting your cabins all the way in the back, around a lake or something along those lines, you may have 2, 3, 10, 20, 30 stumps that need to be removed. So, there is a bidding process, to get somebody out there to do that, or you may need a dozer. The dozer to come in, push down all of the trees, cut in a driveway, and that's not even putting rock on it yet. They got to do the ditches. Sorry, they have to put in ditches, and the ditches have to drain. If they're not draining well, then you're just building a problem up. You're not really taking care of a problem. You're building a future problem. So if a dozer has to come in and cut in a road, you have to make sure that the grade is where it needs to be. Okay, so what we're getting at is the grade. Property is very rarely ever perfect so that a car can get up and down through the hills and stuff like that and get back to where you're building. Okay, so you have to set the grade to where a car or small vehicles can get in and out also. And in saying that, the grade, it has to be perfect, because if it's not, then as water sheds, it's not going to run towards the ditch. You have to have a crown in a road, and a lot of people don't know that. They think that I can just hop on a dozer, put a flat piece right through here, put some gravel down, and the road's great. But it's not. The first thing is it's rain. Okay, as soon as it starts raining, the water has to go somewhere, and because it's a new road, as soon as that water starts running, it's taking all of your gravel with it. Okay, that's the first thing that you need to think about when you're putting the road in. Is it crowned? Is it where it needs to be with the ditches, so that the water goes off the road, hits the ditch, runs down to a culvert pipe, and goes across the road or goes down over here? You have to think about water, or else you will be spending so much money on gravel, it's not funny. Gravel is not bought casually, guys. Gravel is bought by the ton. Okay, so if you put in a road, let's say the dozer's done, now you need gravel. You say, oh, okay, I'll put in a couple loads of gravel here or there. It's not like that. You cannot buy a couple loads of gravel thinking that you're good, okay? Because as soon as it rains, those couple loads of gravel that you had put on there, it sinks, okay? As soon as you drive on it, it sinks because it's a new established road, okay? You have to purchase, I mean, it's nothing for somebody that puts in a road to have to purchase 80 to 120 ton of rock, okay? So in saying that, they put that rock down and it builds up, okay? They will have an established road that they can get concrete trucks down, that they can get deliveries brought down to where they're planning on working. And a couple things that you need to look at whenever you're getting bids for gravel, and the things that you need to look at before ordering gravel is, well, obviously, how much gravel do you need? Okay. Well, first off, you need to know the length of your road. Okay. How long is my road? And then go get the width of your road. You know, the average of the width of your road all the way down from the start all the way to the stop. What is the average length of width of my road? After you figure that out, now you have to figure out how much the depth of rock is. Are you going to put, you know, like I said, on a lot of roads here in Missouri, you know, we put a huge rock, a 4-inch down for base, and then we'll come back with 2-inch, and then we put 1-inch clean on top of that. That way it packs down. You have basically an established road from day one. Yeah, you're going to have to keep putting rock on it, but it's going to be there. You know, you have put in a road. Okay. Now I know a lot of people, they go out and they think, okay, well, if I'm going to put, you know, 3 inches of rock all the way down, the first thing they do is they call the quarry, they call whoever's going to haul it, and they get 1-inch rock and they put it on there. The only thing that 1-inch rock is going to do for you when you're newly constructing a road into your micro resort is it's going to be good enough for a car. And it's only going to be good enough for a car a few times in and out. And then eventually, if it rains, everything that you put on it is going away. It probably won't even roll off, or it won't, the water won't wash it away. It will just sink because it's so small, it just sinks. Dirt will just absorb rock, okay? And it's never ending. The smaller the rock, the dirt will just eats it. It's gone. It just disappears. So I recommend everybody start out with something big. If you don't want to go all the way to a 4-inch, you know, go to a 2-inch and put 2-inch. At least it'll be there for just a little longer. Now, like I said, we do 4-inch, and then we'll come back in with the 2-inch. And a lot of times we won't even put 1-inch or 1-inch clean on top of the 2-inch. We just drive over the 2-inch for a while because, you know, it's going to disappear anyway, and you may have to put a couple more loads of 2-inch on top of it just to get a good sturdy base. Let's talk about another hidden cost, a cost that most people don't even think about, because whenever they drive onto their property, they drive through the ditch real slow and they go onto the property and they never look back. Okay, so when you're coming into a property, most places where you have an access off of a main road, they're going to want you to put a culvert pipe or a drain tile, whichever one you guys like to, whatever you like to call it. And the problem is most people forget about this. Okay, there could be permit costs from the county that you need to get before you even put anything in. I know my county here in Missouri, the first thing that they do is they tell you, okay, you are responsible for buying the culvert and the rock. Do not put it in. We will put it in for you. Okay, because they maintain our roads out here. So the first thing they want to do is put it in so that they know that whenever they're grading the road or they're clearing snow or whatnot, they know where it's at. They know everything about that culvert pipe. They put it in. And then if they tear it up, they're responsible for it. Depending where you're at or you're putting in your driveway, when you go to put the culvert pipe in, there may be certain engineering requirements, or they may have a setback that they say, hey, you have to set your driveway, your culvert pipe back this far off the road. Or you can't put your driveway here at all. You have to put it, you know, up here somewhere. Or maybe you even have to get an easement from the neighbor to put, you know, use their driveway to get to your property. Depending on, you know, the codes or what your county recommends and tells you, they aren't going to recommend anything. They're going to have it. It's going to be a code. So guys, the driveway isn't just a convenience, okay? You have to make sure that the drivers that are on the driveway at the beginning during the construction phase are safe, okay? If you get a guy that's in a concrete truck and he says, I can't get up that grade, or I don't feel safe going at that angle, I don't know what to do, he's not going to drive on it, okay? So now you can't get the concrete to the back, and you've already got rock on the road, so getting the dozer back out there to change the grade, it's almost impossible now, okay? You've already put so much money in to that road that at this point right now it cannot change. So what's the next option? You can get a pump truck, okay? Pump trucks can come in and they can pump concrete to your job site. Okay, using a pump truck, it may take, you know, thousands of dollars more to get that guy out there so that you can create, you know, your micro resort of your dreams. So make sure that whenever you're doing this, or you're building the driveway, the access point into the micro resort or into your STRs, or anything that, you know, involves a road that you are putting in, you are doing it right the first time. So when I say a driveway can cost anywhere from $3,000 to $8,000, $10,000, that is not to scare you in a sense. It is to educate you, and that is the problem. A lot of people that start micro resorts, or just building a house in general, they don't realize how much the infrastructure is on a road or a driveway. So the big lesson here, guys, is, you know, you cannot pour footings until a concrete truck can reach your land. Okay, you cannot drill a well until the land is reachable. So one of the first questions that you should ask yourself when you're looking at raw land, getting ready to build your micro resort, is how much is it going to cost to build the infrastructure and get a road into this place? How much is it going to cost so I can get everything I need to where I'm building my first cabin? Raw land is just something that you can build on, okay? Livable land is something that comes a lot later. If you run the numbers and you're honest with yourself, these four things, you know, clearing, grading, gravel, permits, those four things, you'll make a much calmer decision. Land doesn't surprise you when you measure it, okay? Land surprises you when you assume. And smart builders always measure first. I'm Mark McKnight. Thank you guys for watching our videos. Please subscribe to the channel and hit that bell. We appreciate you, and have a good day.